Welcome into a brand new video, everybody. I hope you're all having a phenomenal day. I hope this extended weekend was a great, restful one. And also, I hope your Valentine's Day was also a great one. I'm currently recording this on my day off here on Monday. So, I'm going to try to be efficient with this video here. Try to cover everything that you investors might want to look out for. Because I do think that this week is going to be I don't know if bulls are gonna love this week. I mean, that's just my gut feeling. I could be wrong, and if you are a bull, I hope I am wrong. But I don't know. There's a lot of things set up there that it's just all in bear's favor. But I'm gonna be covering that this week. Most importantly, I'm gonna be covering what to expect this week, right? Like how we want to see these weekly candle close, whether you're a bull or a bear. So I'll be, the way I like to put it, I'm going to be breaking down what investors are trying to achieve by the end of this week. So on the 20th, right? And for Bitcoin's case, it's going to be by Monday, right? So I'm going to cover the bulls and the bear scenario, what you guys want if you're, whichever side you're on. And from there, you just look out for that. As of right now, I would say based off last week's close, specifically for SPY and Tesla, if you didn't watch my video that I posted on X. Well, actually, first of all, hello, YouTube universe, YouTube world. This is going to be my first ever YouTube video. I usually post things on X. I just now started. So first of all, I'm not a professional content creator. So you're going to have to bear with me. You're going to hear a lot of uhs and a lot of, I'm not there yet. I be thinking too much while trying to record these videos. So, I'm doing this on the fly, right? So it might not be, it's not going to be completely professional, right? In terms of how I speak, but hopefully my analysis and work can make up for that. So I'm going to start with Bitcoin because I think it's funny because I was only doing SPY and Tesla, and then I just decided to click on Bitcoin just to see what it was looking like, and then I spotted these two bearish patterns, which I thought, wow, isn't that funny? Isn't it funny that SPY and Tesla are also in they're trading in their own bearish pattern, which I've been calling out since God knows how long, since the beginning of this year in January, and we might be finally breaking down when it comes to SPY and Tesla, and then I look on Bitcoin on a short-term pattern here on the 2-hour, and it's like, okay, we're in a bear pennant, which is bearish, and we're also in a bear flag, which is also bearish. So yeah, let me just go ahead and cover this first. So first of all, these two patterns should lead us to dropping, right? We should not see anything crazy. I mean, to be honest with you, let me maybe we're trading in the falling wedge here within this pattern, right? This short-term pattern here. So let me go ahead and just, so yeah, okay. So maybe we have this going, right? And as long as we support the support trend, we should retest this resistance trend here, which, as long as we reject this trend, just expect us to continue to test 68K and most likely break below 68K. And just range between here, but we should at some point break below the support trend. And to be honest with you, I think we're going to retest that February 5th low candle, right, which was 60K. So 60K is currently my main target. Now, if we do end up breaking above and invalidating this bear pennant, which honestly that's kind of great news there for you bulls. You now have to deal with this other resistance trend here, right? Let me go ahead and actually make this not so defined. Okay, so this is also another resistance trend that you're gonna have to look out for, because truly we're not going to go towards 81K, which is my first main target, as long as bulls do reclaim and support 68,843, which hasn't been the case. But I mean, let's just hypothetically run through the bullish scenario first in the short term here. You're going to have to reclaim the 68,843 level, support this level, just keep supporting it, right? Don't break below and defend it or reject it or anything like that. You want to support it, you want to test it and just stay above. And then you want to invalidate both of these patterns, right? That is the most bullish scenario that I can give you guys, right? Once you do that, you'll see 81K and more than likely you'll see 87K. So there you go. That is the bullish scenario. There's really not much more to that, to be honest. But as long as we're rejecting this resistance trend, we're most likely going to retest, like I said, that February 5th low. And so between that 62K to 60K. And then from there, you got to hope, which this also, I guess, leads to the most bullish scenario if we do drop, is you kind of want to have a double bottom there, right? If we get that double bottom there, say 60K, or even if we go to 59 or 58, or my main target, which I've been kind of, stating that 57K is kind of the level I do want to see. 57K is definitely possible if we break below that 60K. And, as long as we hold that 57K, 60K mark, then okay, we can kind of consider that a double bottom there. And from there, we most likely see 81K, 87K. So that is also the most bullish scenario if we do end up dropping. And the way this weekly candle is sorting out, it seems like tomorrow we might see some shit go down. Okay. Like, I'll be surprised if not by tonight, but by tomorrow, like once market, starts to open for like SPY and everything else, depending on once futures open up and all that, then, we're probably going to start seeing some more volume kick in on Bitcoin, depending on how low the markets are, right? Futures. And I mean, I'm only assuming that, right? To be honest, I don't really follow crypto. So I don't really know how much crypto follows the other equities, but I mean, in this with currently everything that's going on, I mean, you're going to have a lot of money rotating anyway. So, if one market is dropping, the other one's going to drop, and, everything is kind of in a bearish pattern. So to me, it just seems like everything is just going to go together. But anyways, but yeah, the two most bullish scenarios is either, hold on. Sorry about the guys. It's like I said, I just keep thinking. I really shouldn't say anything. But I almost said all right, let me just think here. But yes, the two bullish scenarios is us supporting 68,843 and invalidating both of these patterns here. So breaking above this black resistance trend and also breaking above this blue resistance trend. If that happens, and I recommend, the only way you'll know if that happens is if you chart this out yourself, or watch the previous video, or not the previous, the next video I do updating Bitcoin, and I do. Oh look, we ended up invalidating these patterns, and we ended up testing my 81,000 level, and then probably 87K, right? So okay, there you go, and then we ended up supporting the 68,843 level, and there you go. You got that, but the next bullish scenario, which I think this is the most, the most likely outcome, is that we are going to drop back to that 60K low that we got in the beginning of February. And then the most bullish scenario happening there is us kind of forming a double bottom there. So between that 57K to 60, I mean, the most bullish scenario would be supporting that 62 to 60K, right? That would be the most bullish scenario, forming a double bottom there. And then from there, we most likely have a bigger bounce towards 81K, right? So that would be the most bullish scenario. Now, if we do end up testing that 57K mark, which is kind of the level I am expecting, at the very least, we could still see that 62 to that 57 to that 60K range. And as long as we support that, all right, all cool. Everything's going to be great. Now, if we end up breaking below that 57K, we're probably going to end up seeing the low of this candle here back in September 2024, which takes us at around, 52,500, right? So we'll probably see that. And then 49K is very much probable if 62K becomes a resistance. Well, the three, let me give you the three. Is it whether it becomes a resistance or anytime we reclaim this level, bulls just can't seem to support it. And this is obviously after the fact that we broke below 62K, that we tested the 60K low and potentially this 57,000. And at that point, this 62 to 65 starts becoming a resistance. Then at that point, we're probably going to see 49K, right? And then you all have to expect 49K to happen, 49,259. And I mean, that really has to hold. I mean, I really don't know how else to put it, because if that doesn't hold, I mean, I'm not going to play around. I don't know. We're going to end up seeing 25K or some shit like that. I'm not going to lie to you. I mean, 38K would be the first level. And then at that point, you got to pray. because I mean, there's really not your next your next really strong, I want to say, because look at these baby ass candles, but really your next strong accumulation zone is going to be right here, right? I mean, if we go back, I don't know why I have that there. That's interesting. Actually, it might help. Let me see. Oh no. Sorry, I'm doing this on the go, like I said. Okay. So yeah, so you have some accumulation right here, right? So yeah, so around that 32. Yeah, 28. Yeah, okay. So you got some accumulation down here, right? So I'm not gonna call these candles right here are like babies, right? That I was just looking at. It's the sooner one, but I mean, yeah. So this would be your next zone, right? If you break below that 49K, it's gonna be starting like just about here. Yeah, let's just go ahead and. So that 38, we'll probably drop to 38, and then at that point, but all this right here is possible. 28, 35, right? So you're gonna have to hope, but I wouldn't even go this low, to be honest. I'd go about right here, as low as these two candles right here, because there's just no way, right? It's not impossible, but geez, how crazy would that be? I would be very interested to see what MicroStrategy is doing during this scenario here. But yeah, that's kind of what we're looking for here, and once again, I'm going into this week bearish. I mean, we could see one more reclaim, or not reclaim, but we could see this one more retest of this blue resistance trend here before dropping. That could happen, I guess, within today. But as of right now, it's still, everything is indicating that we're just going to drop. We're going to see, the Bitcoin low and leave it at that. So yeah, I mean, yeah, that's about it, to be honest. I mean, if I wanted to be like nice, like let's say, like, what do bulls want for this week is to get a weekly close above 68,843. That's what bulls want, right? Bears want to get a weekly close below 65,000, below 62,000. Like that is exactly what bears want. And I mean, we're getting close. Let me see. Yeah, so next week is going to be a very big one, because I'm going to be covering the monthly close, which that's really going to tell the whole story, to be honest, of what's to come for the next month. But yeah, bulls want to get the weekly close above 68,943. So if that ends up happening, then more power to you. That's great going into the following week for bulls. And like I said, if we end up getting this double bottom here, right? Because this is going to be like, let's say 2 weeks. Like, say if we do end up getting this, which once again, I think this is probably the best scenario for bulls. If we end up supporting the 62K, the 60K, the 65K range, look, you're going to have this is going to be the third week in a row where we accumulate there, right? But depending on how the body of this weekly candle closes, like say if it closes anywhere down here, or God forbid below 62K, man, I'm telling you, guys are going to be cooked next week. I'm telling you, it's not going to be. These next 2 weeks could be very bad depending on how the weekly closes go for Bitcoin. Same with SPY and Tesla. So okay, I covered Bitcoin there. There's really not much more to it. I'm bearish, but for now, right? But like once again, we're gonna have to wait and see what we do on these lows here. If we do end up seeing it. So yeah, so I'm gonna leave it at that. I already covered that. Let me go to SPY. Let me go to SPY, because SPY this is where I'm like, oof, I'm telling you, something nasty could be happening this week. So let's start. So first, let me start with what bulls want to really do this week is they want to support 676.57. And I mean, I don't even think they have. I mean, yeah, whatever. As long as they support 676.57, I think that would probably be the best case scenario for bulls based off how we set up. And this is not a weekly close thing yet. I'll get to that point, but just for now, because based off the close that we ended up getting, so we ended up getting the weekly close below 689.70. We ended up going in after hours. We ended up going below 681.12. So that's not great. So 676.57 is already the main target that we can expect for for bulls and bears, because I think everyone's just gonna be watching this level, especially if we're trading below 680.99 by Tuesday open, right? So what you're gonna be want to look for by Tuesday open is, are we trading above or below 680.99? That got to be your first question, because based off that, you'll know your answer, right? If we're rejecting 680.99 or we're trading below this, then you have to 100% expect 676.57. That's going to happen. And if we break below 676.57, you're cooked, okay? We're starting to teeter with the fact that we're going to break below this support trend, which is a rising wedge support trend. It's been holding bulls up since, God knows how long. I could just go back and, since June 24 of last year. So, you don't want to break this, because this is what's been basically leading to new all-time highs every single time we support it. And that will continue to be the case if we do end up supporting this support trend. So let's just say, hypothetically speaking, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we support the support trend. Friday, it doesn't matter. As long as we support the support trend, we're going to bounce, right? And 689.70 will always be the target. This level is going to be a magnet as long as the support trend is held, right? 689.70 and 693.33. Okay, it's going to be a magnet. Now, if we break below 676.57 and we break below the support trend, we might have one of these candles right here from February 12th. Okay, we might have one of these. Okay, but starting Tuesday, that's how your week is going to start off if you're a bull, right? And I mean, you buy puts. To just keep it, you want to short, you just do, because we're probably going to see 671.55. So, there's that. And if we end up getting the daily close below, like down here, it's possible. It's possible that we do something. So as you can see, like I have this baby black support trend here, which that week on February 5th, we did break below, and then we ended up getting the close below it, but we ended up reclaiming it beautifully, right? As you can see, and then we ended up breaking this on the previous day, and then we ended up getting the close below. So that's why this time we're definitely going to test this support trend. At least I will be impressed if we don't. But we most likely will, and it's almost setting up like we do want to finally break, right? And if you saw my video from last week, I believe I kind of did explain that, to where this week right here, when we broke below this, could have been a tease, right? Because at the time when I posted that video, we were trading up here, I believe. And I said that if we end up breaking below this trend again, and based off the weekly close, which we ended up getting below, because I stated that for last week, Bull's main goal was to get the weekly close above 689 and or 693.33, right? That was Bull's goal from last week. You go into today, you obviously see that we did not get the weekly close above. We ended up getting it below, and and I did state that would be bearish going into this following week. So, so it depending on how this week goes by, it's going to look, man, it's going to be very volatile. I'm just going to put it like that. And this sort of candles right here, this down candle, and also this I'm just going to call it this up candle. Obviously, it's going up, but it just doesn't sound as good as saying this down candle. We're gonna see these type of candles this week. I'm just gonna leave it at that. And God forbid we just continue going lower and lower, because I'm telling you, breaking below this rising wedge is I don't know. There might be some crazy news coming in this week that we don't know what is going on. And I'm not a news guy. Like I don't spend too much time on my phone or watching the news. So maybe there's already news out that I don't know of, but if there isn't, there's something happening, especially if we continue to break down. So let me just cover the weekly, what bears want to do, right? So bears want to get the weekly close below 676.57. That's what bears want to do, okay? And that's at the very least, right? The most bearish scenario will be getting the weekly close below 671.55. That would be the most bearish scenario. Now, for bulls, the most bullish scenario would be getting the weekly close above 689.70. That would be the most bullish scenario. Now, I would say that getting the weekly close above 680.99 is probably their main goal, right? 680.99, 684.21. But the most bullish scenario would be getting the weekly close above 689.70. So that's what bulls are trying to do. They're trying to defend the support trend for this week. They're trying to do what they can here and then get the weekly close above, at the very least, 680.99. and like I said, the most bullish scenario would be 684.21, and better yet, 689.70. So if that happens, then you go into the following week. I mean, as bullish as possible, we're going to see new all-time highs. That's going to happen if we end up doing the most bullish scenario. Now, bear's main goal is to break below the support trend finally and test 671.55 at the very least, right? Like this week could be very nasty. I mean, we could go literally as low as 663.43. I mean, truly speaking, it's not crazy. And you know, and if you've been watching my videos from the last, I don't know, the last couple, like last month, right? I've been stating that 693.33 is the most important level to watch. And I believe if I didn't say this in my last video, I know I said it in the previous video, where the reason why this level is the most important one is because it leads us down to 642.96. As long as we reject this level is resistance. As long as we're trading below this level, 642.96 will act as a magnet. So you can understand why it's very dangerous with what's going on, because, and also I've been saying since January 6th, but I just keep saying in my last videos, this right here is a setup to where market is topping out. There's nothing else I can say, right? And breaking below the support trend will confirm that, okay, we topped out here at 697.84. That's going to be the local top. I'm not saying that we're topping out forever, right? But for like the first quarter of this year, right? This could be the top, and we might end up seeing 642.96, So, that's something to watch. And this is why I'm going week by week, because depending on, say, bears won last week. Let's say if bears win again this week, then the following week, which obviously if bears win again, then at that point it's like 642.96 is going to be it's just going to be the main expectation. But I mean, really, that monthly close is really going to tell the story, so. Because let's look at that monthly close. I mean, we have a resistance, like we resisted here and closed below. And in here, depending on like, say the body closes like down here, like, bro, it's going to just be looking like logically 642.96 is going to be the goal. And, and then from there, just hope that news doesn't get worse, because, I have 640.46 as well, and those two levels are going to be the main targets. So, let's see, but I'm just going to be taking it week by week. I don't want to get ahead of myself. So that's SPY. That's all you guys have to be looking out for. You guys have the levels here. I can zoom in a little more, but you guys have the levels here. Just go ahead and copy these levels. And I highly recommend you guys copy this support trend as well. Just go ahead and go to the bottom of the wick of June 24, 2025, and then line it up with the bottom of the wick of November 21st. And there you go. You have the support trend. You don't have to worry about the zone thing, because that's a thing for TrendSpider, which I highly recommend if you're serious with trading. It is expensive, but if you're a person that likes the chart, this is the best. So I'll leave it at that. That's SPY. Now let's go over to Tesla, where Tesla is a little noisy here. My chart is a little noisy here, but I'm actually going to. No, I'm not. For now, I'm going to leave it. Okay. So first, let me just cover. So bulls want to get the weekly close above 414.50. Okay, that's the minimum. That's the minimum. They want to get the weekly close above 414.50. Right. That's the minimum. The most bullish scenario is getting the weekly close above 431.66. Okay. And if you've been watching my Tesla videos, I've been saying, look, don't expect no serious upside until 431.66 is a true support. And as you can see, we ended up testing my 436.55 level, or I don't know if we did. No, we got close. We got very close. But it's these are the two levels that bulls really want to get above if they want to go higher, right? But once again, just like SPY and just like Bitcoin, we're trading in a bearish pattern here. We're in a rising wedge here, and we're teetering. We break below this, and we all know where did Tesla. Yeah, Tesla is still above that 417, right? Due to or looking at the after hours on Friday, but I would just suggest if you're a bull, and I think even by Friday, it's not entirely great It's not like I'm not gonna say it's not the worst thing, but even then you're gonna be getting the weekly close below the support trend. Which, I mean, whatever. I mean, we'll end up seeing. I mean, you want to defend 414.50 at the very least. I mean, let's just keep it simple. But Bears, they definitely want to get that weekly close below 412.38, right? Like that's their main goal is to get either 414.50 or 412.38. So this week, this level is really going to be fought at. Like, let's say if we end up going to 390.11, 374.82, it's going to start by rejecting here. This is where people are going to be buying their puts. Right? Like between these two levels right here, 414.50 and 412.38 is going to be where most of the buying volume is going to be at, whether for Bears or Bulls, right? Because say we end up going to 431.66, 436.65, most calls are going to be bought here, right? For the smart money at the very least. And this is all day trading, right? Like, for those that are going like long terms or like trying to look for like long term, no, don't that's not what you do, right? You're not doing that. But in terms for like short-term trades, I mean, yeah, this level is going to be, I'm telling you, bro, people are going to eat off this level. So, and they have been already. But so, yeah, so ultimately that's kind of what we're looking at here. I mean, the most bear scenario that Bears really are going to be praying for every single day this week is to get the week close below 390.11, right? They get that. Then at that point, 374.82, 374.82, like depending on how bearish things get, especially with like SPY, if we end up breaking down and Bitcoin and everything else, I'll be surprised if we don't see 374.82 by this week, like at any point this week, to be honest. And, to keep things simple, as long as 412.38 is resistance and or we're trading below this level, 474.82 is going to be the main target for Bears. So you can't expect that level. It's not anything crazy. This should happen this week if we continue trading below 412.38, right? Now, the reason why 414.50 is a very important level and why I'm just saying at the very least Bulls and or Bears want to get that weekly close, above or below. Let's just hypothetically go the Bears scenario. Right? Us rejecting this level and failing to support this takes us down to 347.58. Okay? So if we end up getting the weekly close below 414.50, then the following week we could very well see 347.58. Okay? So I'm just letting you know. Now, if we were to continue to support 414.50, technically speaking, 488.29 is the target, right? That's going to act like the magnet. So that's a very important level. That's the equivalent of the what is it? 693? Yeah, that's the equivalent of the 693.33 level for SPY. So, I'm going to leave it at that. Once again, you're watching for this support trend, which this support trend, if you want, which I highly recommend you do, go down to that April 7th candle, the bottom of that wick, and line it up with this April 21st candle here, the bottom of this wick, right? It's the way I have it. And once again, like this is why I like this zone trend here in TrendSpider, because, I kind of, I have this zone here. You see all the candles that are that test, like right here, you see that bounce there. And then, even here, you saw us like testing here, like us supporting and or rejecting. And we got a tease on that following, in the beginning of February. We got the tease here of what happens when you break below. So I'm just saying that this week might not be the tease. And we might end up seeing 374.82, and God forbid, we actually have a bear gap to fill. And it's a small one, but still, it leads us down to 368.98. So that could also be a target by the end of this week. So, that's what you guys are watching out for. But ultimately, even if we go through all this pain and Bulls get the weekly close above 414.50, then I can say, okay, you know what? That's very impressive by the Bulls. And B, you go into next week kind of going, okay, you know what? We're having, obviously there's some accumulation going on down here, whether we go to 374, because even if I go like this, hold on, let me just set this little zone here, right? So you see, okay, so you have a little bit of accumulation in between this 390 and 374. This is the last time we saw 390, right? So say we go all the way down and, we're going to have a little more, like say we continue like zoning here, like say we're for 3 days, we're 2 or 3 days we're supporting within these this zone here, and then we end up reclaiming 414.50. I mean, bro, there's just no way we don't break above 436.65 the following week. But once again, the weekly close is gonna be very important. Whether we get the weekly close below 390.11, that being the most bearish scenario. I mean, 374 would be the most bearish scenario, but I'm not gonna go that far. And 414.50 I think is already enough. Like us getting that weekly close below that 412, 414 is already enough in my opinion. Let me see if we already got a weekly close. Yeah, okay. So last week we did end up getting the weekly close, and then this week we ended up this week we ended up getting, I mean, this weekly candle is very bearish that we ended up getting from last week. Yeah, 374.82 is definitely, man, we could see 356 by Friday. Yeah. So I'm gonna leave it at that. This video is kind of long. I mean, I did cover 3 things here, but it's at 30 minutes right now, 31 minutes. So I'm gonna leave it at that. I hope whatever side you're on, I hope it works out for you guys, because this week is looking to be so far it's setting up to be a bloody one, right? But hey, anything is possible. You know what I'm saying? Anything is possible. So you guys have the levels to watch. You guys know what you're looking for, and I just recommend praying that it goes your way, because if not, I'm telling you, it's gonna be real tough. Either or, so expect a ton of volatility, that I can promise. So yeah, I'll leave it at that. I hope you all have a great week. I'll probably be updating depending on how crazy things get. Like let's just say if we end up really just continue breaking down, I mean, I might have another video up by Wednesday or Thursday, right? But Wednesday, Thursday is definitely right. So I'll be posting both on X and on YouTube, and also I'm going to be posting some more posts on X as well, to like kind of like quoting not only these videos, but I'm going to be also posting the levels, because I've been seeing some people saying that the levels might be hard to watch. Like on my end, when I rewatch the videos, it doesn't look too hard for me, but also I don't know how you guys are watching it, so there's that. But I will be posting the levels on X, and I will be updating those levels as well throughout the week. So yeah, I'll leave it at that. Hope you all have a great week, and hope you guys survive the market. All right, bye, love you. Mwah.